guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we are doing my March reading wrap-up. I'm gonna apologize in advance if you guys can see my dirty hands because I did hours and hours worth of like weed pulling and stuff in our backyard, so I haven't been able to like scrub them hard enough to clean them, so I apologize for that. But I recently got a haircut, so I look nice from here up, at least. I had an okay reading month in March. I read a total of 5 things, which is below my average, but 2 of them were somewhat on the bigger side and a couple of them were somewhere on the smaller side, but I'm pretty happy with what I read. I would have liked to have read more. We were busy and doing a lot of things, so I didn't get things done quite in time. So these are all the books that I read with my eyeballs in March, so ebooks and physical books. I also listened to a lot of audiobooks, so I have an audiobook wrap up that will be up tomorrow, but that'll be up tomorrow, and I listened to 8 things there, so I did a little bit better audiobook wise. So first up, we're going to talk about the first book that I have DNF'd for 2019, and I just never know how to feel about this. I only talk about my DNFs when I like purposefully say I am not going to finish this, and not just books that I've like put down and I'm going to get back to probably later this year. But I DNF'd the Fillin Boyfriend by Casey West. So this is my first Casey West experience. I had a paperback copy of it that I have now since traded or sold or something. And I wanted something to read while I was outside and getting sunshine and in the bathtub and stuff. And I like to use my paperbacks for that because I like to keep hardbacks on my shelves, and so that's kind of why I collect paperbacks. So I picked the Fillin Boyfriend because I haven't read really any contemporaries this year, and I've been wanting to dive into Casey West, and this one was a little bit on the smaller side as well. So this particular story is about a girl who is going to prom and has a boyfriend, and none of her friends have met her boyfriend yet because he goes to a certain college that's not near their hometown, and they kind of don't really believe that he's real. And then he breaks up with her on prom night, so she randomly meets a guy and convinces him to be her fill-in boyfriend because she knows if she goes in there and says that her boyfriend broke up with her right before prom, they're gonna think that she made him up. So she decides that she is going to bring this random guy to prom, and then of course like hijinks and things ensue. I'll take this DNF with a little bit of a grain of salt because I just don't read a lot of contemporary books to begin with, and I'm not necessarily not a fan of them, but I'm really picky about the style that I like and the type that I like, and I never really know what it is until I start reading the book. I got like 100 pages into this and it was a very quick read, but I just didn't care. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't necessarily love the writing style. This one felt young adult to me. It felt younger, and I hate saying that because I love books like To All the Boys I've Loved Before and Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and all that stuff, but for some reason this one just felt a little bit more on the immature side. And now I am a full-grown adult, so obviously I am not the intended audience for this particular book necessarily. Nothing necessarily wrong with it. I feel like a lot of people love it, and I know a lot of people do love it. I just didn't really care, and I just didn't really care about the plot or the characters or anything, so I just decided to move on to something else. This was just not the contemporary for me and my pickiness. Then I read 2 ebooks this month, which is also something that I don't do. One because it was the only way I could get it, and one because I got my first ARC in March, which was really exciting. I joined a website called NetGalley where you can basically like apply to read ARCs and review them, and reviewers will review your profile and your ratings and things, and they will send you ARCs through certain publishers and things. This one was on netgalley.com, and they have a section that's called Read Now, and so I didn't actually have to get approved for it. They just had it available, and that was Never Contented Things by Sarah Porter, which I cannot tell you guys how excited I was for this particular book. One, because Sarah Porter wrote my favorite mermaid series / books right now called the Lost Voices trilogy. I've read them probably the most out of any books. I love them so much. They're very dark and gritty, and they're female empowering, and they're just they're so good. And so this is her new book that came out on March 19th. It's about 2 foster siblings that have like an undying love for each other, and they wind up getting caught up in the world of the Fae, and their lives kind of get taken from them, and they have to kind of take their lives back and help their friends and save their town and all kinds of things. That synopsis makes it sound absolutely phenomenal. And I really honestly don't know what to say about this book. This might be one of the weirdest, most messed up books I have ever read. Now, I know Sarah Porter has that grittier, weird substance sometimes to her books. I remember that from the Lost Voices series, and that's actually something I really liked, like the way that the girls became mermaids. And then there were other things that were just kind of a little bit out there and like almost like quantum physics-esque and very kind of trippy. I really liked in Lost Voices. I thought it was very well balanced. It added a new layer to the story. In this one, it was too much for me personally. I feel like some people are just going to have an undying love for this because it is so different than anything you've ever read. Now, a couple of things that I didn't like. One, it takes about 150 pages to actually get some real concrete fae story-esque plot going. Like, they're definitely in there and they are part of the plot, but the first 150 pages about this book is really about like our main characters' backstories and the two foster siblings and their hardships and the way that they connect with each other. And it's kind of weird depending on how you feel about this, but they kind of have romantic feelings for each other, which I guess is okay because they're not technically related, but they like grew up together and they think of each other as kind of brother and sister. Very weird, very hard life. Trigger warnings for a whole bunch of things in this book, like just a whole bunch. It's super dark. There's like abuse and there's like almost rape and there's like just so many things. So the first part of this book is just all about their relationship and like getting to know them, but it's messed up and I wanted to DNF it like several times. Now after that, when we actually get more into the fae plot and we change perspectives to a different character that's not one of the two foster siblings, I did enjoy it a lot more. And when I was reading the book, I did want to keep reading it. But the fae stuff, again, you just kind of feel like you're just like wigging out, like you're just tripping out, because it is just the things that happen with the fae and the magic system and the way that they mess with the characters and the humans, and the fae are super freaking evil, okay? They're evil and they're messed up and they're not romantic and they're not romanticized. This is not like all you guys that are into like Cruel Prince and Wicked King and ACOTAR and all that stuff. This is nothing like that, which is great because it's not the same as that, but the things that happen with the fae and the magic are just so weird. Like, I had to read things like several times because I was just like, what is happening? But why would it happen like that? And it's kind of gross sometimes. I don't know. I think I'm sitting at like a 3, maybe a 2.5 with this. I'm really bummed because the cover's beautiful. The synopsis seemed amazing, but this one just, it messed with my brain. I just felt uncomfortable reading it at times. But again, I think some of you guys are really gonna love that are into like the really weird, trippy type stuff. But I think the majority of the people reading this are not gonna like it. In fact, the majority of the reviewers so far DNF'd it before they even got into the fae world. So I'm glad that I did keep going and I can review it as a whole book and not just half a book, because a lot of people are reviewing it when they've only got 100 pages in, which you shouldn't do. Yeah, this one's really weird. So like 2.5, 3 stars. I don't know. Ugh. Okay, and then the next ebook that I read was Shadow Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is a novella in the Shadow Me world based on one of our favorite side characters, which I don't really want to say who it is because I feel like that's kind of a spoiler. And so I love this one. I reread all of the Shadow Me books via audiobook, which you'll see in my audiobook wrap-up that's coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But this one I had to read in ebook form. They don't have an audiobook for it. I feel like if it's been a while since you've read Restore Me or the other Shatter Me books, then you definitely should read this one because it's kind of like a refresher based on a different person's perspective. But there's a lot of repetitive things because of that. As you're seeing it from this person's perspective, you're getting a lot of the same scenes. So if you recently read Restore Me, this book was kind of unnecessary. It was really a good ebook as far as a good ebook novella as far as what you want from a novella. It was a refresher. You got a little bit more information, but nothing that you absolutely have to know before you go into Defy Me, which I like for novellas. I just had recently read Restore Me though, so I didn't really need to read this, but I did like our new perspective because I like this character a lot. I wound up giving this one 3.5 stars just for that purpose. Okay, now we're gonna get into the books that took up the majority of my time. So the first book I wound up reading actually for the month was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This book's like almost 670 pages, which is why I haven't read as many books this month, because this one took up a lot of my time. That being said, Cassandra Clare books do read really quickly, and I find that I never feel like I'm majorly pushing myself to get through. I do feel like this was a little unnecessarily long, but if you guys aren't familiar, this is the first book in the Dark Artifices series. And yes, you do need to read the Mortal Instruments, and yes, you do need to read the Infernal Devices before you read this book. I just think that you won't like it at all if you don't read those other two, because you get so much back history and so much character development and so many things about the world in those other books, and if you don't read them, I just feel like you'll be like, meh, I don't care. In fact, I have a friend that started with this one and now she doesn't want to read anything by Cassandra Clare, but I think it's because you need to read those other books before you read this one. So I can't say too much about it because of that, because there's too many spoilers and things, but I really love this. This is probably my second favorite Cassandra Clare book, because I love Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy with like an undying passion. But I really liked our new setting. We get a lot more about Fae and the world of the fairies in here. I liked our new characters, especially like all the kids and things that go with those characters. We saw the Blackthorn family in here, and then Emma Carstairs. I really enjoyed it. I did feel like it was a little bit on the unnecessarily long side, but sometimes that stuff comes into play in future books. I'm excited now to read Lord of Shadows and Queen of Air and Darkness and the novella set and all the rest of the Cassandra Clare business. I'm officially on the train. I mean, I'm a little slower to getting there, but I'm on the train. Proud of myself for reading one of the giant tomes, because this is one of the biggest books I've ever read, so excited about that. I did really enjoy myself during this book. I don't want to give too much away, so unfortunately I'm not going to say too much about it, but I did find it interesting that this one has more of a murder mystery aspect than the other books feel more fantasy than this one does. This one had like a murder mystery thing that they were kind of trying to solve, which was kind of fun and interesting and different. So it was very different from the first books in the other two series, which is really important if you're gonna like stay in a certain world. So lots of twists and turns. I gasped a couple times. Yeah, I'm really stoked for Lord of Shadows. So I gave this one 4 stars. Okay, so the next book that I read in March was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I finally did it. I'm so excited that I'm finally getting through my like Leigh Bardugo Grisha verse amazingness. I am doing a reading vlog currently still about Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I am halfway through Crooked Kingdom, which is also why I haven't read as many books this month, because I read half of Crooked Kingdom, which is like 300 pages, which would have been another book. I didn't finish it in time. I'm just taking my time with these books because I'm vlogging and stuff too, so I want to like share my thoughts, and I'm just taking more time. So the vlog will probably be up maybe towards the end of April if I don't read King of Scars as well. I'm not sure if I'm including King of Scars in the vlog or not, but I did make it through the first one. This is a high fantasy story based in the Grisha world, so Shadow and Bone and Siege and Storm and all those books, but it is not a sequel per se. It's just based in that world, so it's like a companion duology. And it's about a heist, and it's about a group of misfit characters. They have to complete a heist together, and you learn a lot about the characters and the heist itself, and there's twists and turns, and action is very action oriented. So this book has such a different feel than the Shadow and Bone trilogy, which I really enjoyed at both series. I think I am enjoying this one a little bit more. You're getting such a wide diversity of characters. You're falling in love with the characters a little bit more. There are multiple perspectives in this, but this book was done the best I've ever seen for multiple perspectives, because you don't switch necessarily like timelines or scenes. You kind of stay right where you left off from the last chapter, but then you just literally switch perspectives. So for me, it didn't even take adjusting in my brain to like switch to the other character. It just was very seamless. I really like it. And let me just say, Leigh Bardugo's opening lines of books are like my new all-time favorite, and her opening chapter headers, every chapter header in this one especially is so good and hilarious. I think my favorite one, which I talked about this in the vlog, my favorite ones is the first one, and it says, "Juiced had 2 problems, the moon and his mustache." I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. And all the chapter headers start with something like that. It's like just sucks you in and makes you want to keep reading. I did take my time with this one. It's like 450 pages, so a little bit larger than your average YA. It does read quickly of sorts. If you like a lot of action and things, there is quite a bit of action in here, but it is mostly about characters and character development. So if you're that type of reader, you're gonna love this duology. If you're not, you might not like it, because Crooked Kingdom is especially heavy on character development. You go a lot back into the past of the characters and you learn about their past careers and their past lives and their childhood, and it does it in here too, but not as much as it does in Crooked Kingdom. So if you are not a character lover, then I would say skip this duology, honestly. I don't think it's going to be for you. I know a lot of people that think it's super slow. I don't think they're particularly fast-paced, but I do like character development and I'm interested in the plot and where it's going, and I'm okay with it taking its time. So enjoyed this one. I gave it a solid 4 stars, I think, for that particular reason, because again, not my new all-time favorite, but one of my new favorites that I really enjoy and have fond memories of, and probably will reread via audiobook sometime in the future. Really sad that I didn't get to include Crooked Kingdom in this wrap up, so you'll have to wait till next month, and hopefully I can do Crooked Kingdom and King of Scars, but we'll just cross your fingers and stay tuned for that vlog coming out soon. All continuing on with my Grisha journey. Okay, one reason that I didn't finish Crooked Kingdom was because last weekend I just decided that I wanted to kind of take a break, and I wanted to just get something else in here so that my wrap up wouldn't be like super short. And so I decided to read Enclave by Anna Guire. Again, we were going to the beach and I did not want to take my beautiful red book of Crooked Kingdom to the beach. So I picked up my paperback of Enclave by Anna Guire, and I just decided to dive into this one since I didn't like the Fillin Boyfriend. And I read half of this while we were at the beach. So this is a post-apocalyptic, somewhat dystopian story. It's really more post-apocalyptic when everything has gone downhill and there are just like these things called freaks, which are basically zombies, and there's some kind of like mutant disease that has developed and they chase you and they try to eat you. And then there are these groups of like, they're almost like tribes of people that get together and they like make a homestead and a survivor thing, and they have people called huntresses that go out and try and like find food and kill the freaks, and they get trained from a certain age, and then everybody has a certain job. So kind of like the Maze Runner, but like purposefully done. The generation that's happening doesn't really know what it was like before that, and so our lead character is getting her new job in the society and also learning things about the society that maybe aren't so good. So it's kind of dystopian, but like not really. I don't know how I feel about this one either. I am definitely going to continue on with the series. The writing style wasn't my favorite. It was a little bit off. I'm not really sure if it was because it might have been her first novel. I'm not sure. I did really enjoy it. I read it really fast. I just like post-apocalyptic survival type stories, and we were watching Survivor at the time, so that was kind of fun. But the pacing was kind of strange and the character development was a little bit odd. I don't like the 3rd book, but I'm gonna read the 2nd one to decide if I want to read the entirety of the series, because there's at least 4 books. I thought it was a trilogy, but there's 4. But I enjoyed it overall, so it's a solid 3.5 stars. If you like post-apocalyptic survivalist kind of like traveling in the woods and trying to like find food and water and all that kind of stuff, then you'll like this book. If you don't like those kinds of books, this is not going to change your mind. Just, that's my opinion. And those are all the books that I read for March. So stay tuned tomorrow for my audiobook wrap up, which like I said, I read 8 books and I had a pretty great audiobook month as far as there. I really enjoyed most of the books that I read this month. I'm glad that I got done what I got done. I just really wanted to get through more than this. So we'll see how next month goes, which is right now because this video is late. But anyway, let me know what you guys are reading down below for the month of April, or what you read in March and what you really enjoyed. And I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and sometimes on the weekends. I'll see you guys next time on the bright side.